I think it was, he'll correct me, back in 2021, they asked to see if we would mind, and that was a part of our whole redesign of the natural spring over there off of Chase. And they asked if they could sort of investigate it further, the age, the depth, the contents, and they received a grant to do such a thing. And so over the course of the last couple of years, they've been testing it and doing things that I did not study in college to do. And so this is the report that they're going to give as far as age, contents, and everything else helpful, and comparatively to other springs in the area and maybe nationally. So that's the best introduction I can give you. With that, I'll let him speak for himself and sort of give his presentation or his investigation is what we call it.
Yeah, do you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, so thanks, Dan. Harvey Pollard is actually in the room there, I believe. So he's going to be presenting to you guys there in person. I couldn't make the trip, but Harvey's been putting together the project report. He took on the project a few years ago when we first got started on this. I also wanted to just mention, like Dan, you were giving us a lot of shameless plugs there, USGS, with the data there for that, the rainfall and the stream gauge stuff. So it's kind of, we're in the room at the right time here. Harvey's actually up in the area. The reason he's able to do it in person, he's measuring water levels in groundwater wells up in the region this week. And he texted me and said, this is the reason why several of them were underwater at this point. So we've got about 60 different points that we measure quarterly in cooperation with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, and save all that data in our database and make it available online through that same portal that you were showing, Dan. So the data he's collecting this week will be available upcoming after he gets back. But I think Harvey's got some slides he's going to go through in the room there. So I'll let Harvey take it away locally there.
While we're getting this ready, I will add to Dave's comments that a lot of the stuff you guys are talking about, we are in the process of developing, or we have developed, a low-cost accompaniment to the stream gauges, to where these are able to send alerts a lot more quickly than the hour that it would take between events. And I can present this to you guys at a later time if you'd like. I'm also working on a low-cost storm drain monitoring system that will alert you when storm drains are about to overflow. And then you can make your decisions based on that alert, whether you want to close a road to keep people from driving down it, get stuck, get hurt, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd absolutely like to hear that. Just run that through Dan and Jodi's office to put that on the calendar. Is that technology available, or are we waiting still?
The one that accompanies the stream gauge is available, and the one that goes down in the storm sewers, it's like a transducer. That has been tested, and I'm actually presenting on it next month at floodplain conference.
Well, that's out in French Lake.
Yeah.
September 10th and 11th.
Yeah, I think I'm doing it on the 10th.
Yeah, if I could just real quick, the big difference between what he's talking about and what you guys were showing, the data that gets transmitted from those sites that Dan was showing right now typically gets updated online every hour. The new technology we have is transmitted through a cell modem. And so it uses the same kind of water alerts, but those transmissions can occur, minute to minute, basically. So you get an update, you get data quicker for those sites, and those alerts can come through quicker in that regard too. So we'd be happy to tell you more information on it in the future.
Hey.
And the rivers are all up. I've been to by several of them, and they're all high.
Yes, they are.
well as the wetlands. Those are high too.
As long as he stays in the river.
That's it. All right, I'm gonna try to be your co-pilot here, which is scary.
Ready to crash.
All right, so the title of the paper is Determining Source and Quality of the Groundwater Artesian Well using Geophysical and Geochemical Measurements in Northwest Indiana. This project's been going on since 2022. We're just now getting in the paper. We had some logistical issues with getting some samples from Bern, Switzerland. We actually sent those there. And one of our authors on the paper left the survey to go to another job. So getting all the hands coordinated was a little bit of a pain. This image up in the upper right is what Chase Street looked like before. It was just a big synth-like concrete brick with a PVC pipe coming out one end and the other. This is what it looks like now. The park is redone, and this is what the well actually looks like coming out. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. I have no issues stopping and answering any questions. So
Thank you.
So our objective was to measure and compare the geophysical properties of 3 groundwater wells in Northwest Indiana, to collect water quality measurements and samples from the 3 target wells, and to collect samples for H dating using a tritium and helium-3 method and comparing this to a krypton 85 method. So we did both. So here are the sites. We're up in Northwest Indiana. We sampled well B8 up at the top. CS1, that is Chase Street. That is the name that we gave that. And BR1. BR1 is a bedrock well. It goes down to, but
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, you got some fancy things. There you go.
All right, so BR1, that is a bedrock well. It is PVC cased. That's the elevation. The depth is 145 feet. It is screened into bedrock and screened from 135 to 145 feet. Chase Street well is still cased. The elevation is 597.2 feet. The depth of the well is 34 feet, and it is unscreened. When we did a camera log, we did not see a screen in there.
Is that a screen for debris? Is that the premise of a screen versus unscreened?
Usually in a groundwater well, monitoring well, or a drinking well, there's a screen at the bottom to keep sediment from getting into it. And we heard many things about this well. It was hammered in by 2 really big guys in the 1940s, all the way down to water. They hit an underground river. The material they were going through, that probably is not accurate. It had to be actually drilled in, but there were no drilling logs found on DNR's website. So it was good that we did the geology of it. That way we understood what kind of material they were actually coming into. And B8 is a still cased well. That elevation is 599 feet. The depth of this well is 40 feet, and it's screened from 31 to 36. We chose this well because it is a similar depth, and we were thinking it's a similar lithology and water source. So the geology up here is mostly glacial. It's glaciers came in, they deposited a bunch of erratics, clays, sands. So here in Northwest Indiana, the last one was the Wisconsin. It lasted till the beginning of the Holocene. The Holocene began 11,700 years ago, and it still extends to today. So yeah, it didn't actually begin retreating until the Holocene. And if you Google anything about glaciers, they are extremely slow. So even when they retreat, they still retreat extremely slow. So it took thousands of years before it even got out of India. So these are the aquifers, shallow and bedrock. So this image up on the right is the aquifers of the area, B8, CS1, and BR1. So the top one, the green, that is a Calumet aquifer. The bottom one, that is a lacustrine plain aquifer system. So CS1, B8 are actually in different aquifers. BR1 is in a deep limestone, Silurian, Devonian bedrock. So all of this is quaternary in age. Up here on the left, you can see the different ages, the eons. So the Holocene is today, the Pleistocene was before that. So you're looking, quaternary is Pleistocene and the Holocene.
That demarc line is pretty much the expressway, isn't it?
It is actually, I think that line between the aquifers
Yeah.
follows the Lower Calumet River.
Ah,
Okay.
wow. Tie that all together. How about that, Repay?
That's why I brought it. I didn't know he was showing up in person. It scared me.
Yeah, well, it worked out that way. It wasn't originally worked out that way, but
I wasn't even looking that way. All of a sudden he appears.
Yeah, you got like a wave of ball guys coming after.
Yeah.
After the other.
Troubles.
Go ahead. So we did a gamma log of the well. We couldn't do a EM that would show like electromagnetic log that would show really the clays and the sands because the casing is metal. With the metal casing, really all we had that we could do is gamma. So we had a gamma log for V8, which is in the middle. CS1 is on the left. And BR1 is on the right. And I cut that off at 45 feet because that's really all that's going to matter for us. So you may notice some similarities between them. CS1 starts out, so anything left of that line is sand. Anything right of that line is clay. Okay. So you can see that they're all starting out in sand until you get to about 4 feet. And then you got a transition in Chase Street to more clay. B8 stays the same, and BR1, it stays sand, right? So if you look at Chase Street, which is this new one, go ahead. Oh, go back.
Oh
It
boy.
didn't pop up.
Now you're gonna really cause me some difficulty.
Let's go back.
Oh. Previous. I got it.
All right.
Technology got it.
Sorry about that. So Chase Street that's here on the left, it is intermittent sands and clays. It gets really close to sand. You can see the green down here. Those are where it pops into sand. Whereas B8 is straight sand. And BR1 will go into clays and sands as well. Eventually stain clay. So if this could be a reason for Chase Street's artesian style. And we'll get more into that here in a minute. But what I want you to take away from this is that intermittent clay and sands, right? So our observations, B8 constructed completely in sand. CS1's intermittent sand and clay. First 50 feet of BR1 compared to shows intermittent sands and clays as well. Keep in mind, B8 and CS1 are both stick-up casings. And what that means is the casing for the well is above ground about 2 feet. So about 2 feet tall, that's the casing. BR1 is a flush mount setup. So that is actually below land surface when we measure that one. So that's why you see that difference in the logs where they started at the top. So all three sites show sand at the very top. From 6 to 8 foot, CS1 transitions to clay. And after the depth, B8 stays sand while BR1 becomes clay and CS1 is predominantly intermittent sands and clays. While the construction was going on, we were luckily able to be there when they were kind of digging out with the backhoe and the excavator. And this clay was like modeling clay. I believe Dave kept a sample and left it on his bookshelf for a while, and it just became hard as rock. So this clay is almost impenetrable. It's a serious glacial till clay.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The one well that is at grade, nobody can harvest water from that, or is it?
So none of these are, with the exception of Chase Tree, used for
Drinking.
Yeah, used for drinking. These are all monitoring.
Right.
So I was actually at B8 today. It was dry around there, luckily. But yeah, I was there today. Yeah, none of these are used for drinking. So this is a recharge of the area. So the recharge is slightly different between the wells. BR1 has the highest recharge rate, while CS1 kind of has the lowest. And that goes into probably location, right? You got a lot of runoff, you got a lot of infrastructure built up, so that's going to impede your recharge. And this will become more apparent as we get into the HDA. So this is a potentiometric surface map. If I didn't say that right, I'm sure I'll hear about it Friday. So what I did was we took a lot of the wells that I go and visit, and we look at the depth to water. Mm-hmm. And then we label that and we make contours off of it. So then we can see how groundwater is flowing. Mm-hmm. And the solid lines are lines that we have data for. The dotted lines and the dashed lines, those are inferred because we don't have any data. We can't say that's the way it's going, but this is the way it should go. So if you look at the contour and these arrows kind of show you which way the groundwater is moving, a lot of it moves towards Lake Michigan and the streams, the Calumet and the Low Calumet River, right? So if you look at CS1, you got a lot of pressure head coming down and from each side, right? So that's a higher elevation at 603 than where CS1 is. And down here where it's inferred, you're still looking at 603, 609 going down to 600. So you're getting a lot of pressure pushes the water up. Plus you have that intermittent sand and clay that's helping push that up. Right? And that's could be why you're getting that artesian style flow.
Right.
So going into water quality, we took lake samples for quality assurance, quality control to confirm that our equipment was not introducing anything trace elements that we collect in the field. The pump bottles were set up in an identical manner as to the environment samples that were collected, except for pre-approved blank water that was pulled through the system and then put it in the bottles and sent along. So water quality analytes sampled. Some stuff that didn't come through on what I did earlier today, like 2 hours ago. This is just give you an idea of the analytes that we actually tested for. So we have all these analytes. And for this slide, these circled ones are the ones that we got hits for. So that's sulfate, aluminum, arsenic, barium, iron, and manganese. Go ahead. Here are the rest of the analytes. So we collected for PFAS as well. There were no hits on CS1 for PFAS. So that water is non-detectable for that. Mm-hmm. And here are the rest. So we had a large array of tests that we ran on Chase Street's water. So these are blank analysis. The only one that popped up was manganese with a concentration of 0.54 microliters. So I want to delve into each one of these hits, kind of give you an idea of what it is. So arsenic is shown above the MCL. The MCL is the maximum contaminant level for drinking water established by the EPA. So the MCL for drinking water is 10 micrograms per liter. You guys are showing in CS1 point, they're 200th over that. So, and that could be attributed to many things. We can't guess what those are, but
they good or bad?
Over 20.
Is that October of 1922?
But what's that?
October 22, 1922 or 2022?
Yeah, I believe that's when they
You haven't taken anything since then?
What's that?
There's no testing been done since then.
So this was back in 22. Yeah, cool. Iron and sulfate. So the sulfate was high, but it wasn't like so it fell under the contaminant level. For iron, it is over the maximum contaminant level of 300 micrograms per liter. You're looking at about 1,000. These were done in 2023. And this is evident. You can actually see this at the well. When it's flowing out, you see all that orange that was around. That's the iron that's in there, and some of the manganese as well. Right.
Why the different dates?
So again,
Well, some of the testing was at, different timeline.
so I'm just showing you when the detects were. Does that make sense? So getting back to the 2022, we had other tests, and I don't think any of those were detected. So we sampled in 2022 and 2023.
So in 2023, there was no arsenic detected?
Not that I'm aware.
Right. None now, right?
Not that I'm aware.
Good.
And so arsenic can be introduced into groundwater several different ways. It can be there naturally. Metallic type sediments can introduce arsenic into the groundwater. A lot of it comes from anthropogenic sources, us. So I would like to get you a better answer on that, and I will. I just have to look at the paper again. So manganese, you can see the bottom graph. It is higher than the maximum contaminant level of 50. And that's partially, you can see that in that iron staining as well. That's part of that. And the aluminum, it's high as well. Well, I think I bet. Aluminum is not. And if you can see BH, BR1, CS1, there's nothing in CS1. So you're good with aluminum. It's just the which can be accounted for with iron. Secondary drinking water analytes. We sampled these 5. We only got hits on aluminum and manganese, which makes sense. This is just the secondary drinking water for EPA standard. So aluminum is above the limit, BR1, and below detection limits, CS1. And manganese is above the limit in CS1. And if you who's drank the water?
Well, how often are you, I mean, do these fluctuate? I mean, I'm looking at 3-year-old data. So, I mean, I don't know how many more, chemicals we're going to look at. I mean, at the end of the day, that's old data. And 2, with the old data, is that any concern as it pertains to people going out there and drinking the damn water?
So I can only give you the data.
So
what you do with it.
So who does that for these type of wells? I mean, I'm not a well expert, so if somebody's utilizing that in that particular situation,
IDEM. We go by the guidelines of IDEM through an open source water, which requires.
So IDEM is interpreting this data and manganese and aluminum.
Not this data. They totally pass on coliform and nitrates.
Okay.
So if we pass coliform and nitrates, which we test nitrates yearly and coliform every month, then that's acceptable to IDEM standards for an open source water.
Okay. So
this is just deep dive.
I'm really in the weeds, and I don't want to be in the weeds anymore. So I'm trying to get to the point of what we're looking at as it relates to this old data to where we are today in 2025.
So we're going with this. The reason for this is for you to make possible a determination if the water is safe to drink.
Copy that.
If it's not safe to drink, or if it is safe to drink, it's just these constituents are above this drinking
Who did
water.
the testing in 2022 to be able to get all this data? Is that USGS? USGS.
That's you. That's him. That's what
Right.
that's what he is.
Yeah.
But I'm just asking, why are you showing me 3-year-old data?
Because it takes that long to put the report together.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
3 years.
We're still not done.
From 2022. Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Stay on.
Getting
I
back
just
to-
said, let me, the PFAS results themselves took 9 months to get back from the lab.
Okay, can I ask a question? When was it well
Test
completed?
water, 9 months.
The renovation of the well, when was that completed?
renovation was
Well, you guys, so 21, 22, it was about the same.
well, it was 22, 23 because we were. in the
When was
middle
it
of the same-
completed?
Your blood, give me that exam. I'll look on here.
Yeah, what?
Project
Okay,
Tracker.
fine.
Project
I have a
Tracker.
report for that.
Yeah.
Why does it take that long though?
Our peer review, our data is unquestionable. It really is. And that is because of our peer review, our process to make sure our data is correct. And to make sure our data is
1923.
2 years
to the top level.
2 years after
That we go through a lot of steps just to get this data out.
Okay.
And all of this, if you look at that bottom, it's still preliminary information.
3 years
Because-
old.
We haven't actually got the paper out for publication.
Wow.
You guys just have it approved internally, right?
Well, I'll get, there's a site for that.
Got it, sorry.
Grand opening.
Okay, how we doing on the slides? We halfway yet?
Yeah, we're about done.
You see what I get to deal with on a monthly basis, right?
Oh, this is fine.
Oh, yeah, you're getting off easy.
Just be
So
up there.
PFAS, I'm not gonna go into this slide a lot. We didn't detect any PFAS in the system. So we did a dissolved gas analysis. Concentrations of dissolved nitrogen, argon, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and methane. These can tell us about the explosive limits, especially with methane. They can also tell us about the source of the groundwater. So groundwater age data. So ages using a tritium and krypton 85. You can look at the graph here, and you can see that older ages go to the right. So the bottom is the date in years.
Good time.
So geophysical logs show all three wells have similar lithology. However, CS1 has studies about the subsurface, which could contribute to the artesian flow of the well. Water quality results show that sulfate, aluminum, arsenic, barium, iron, and manganese have reportable limits in the groundwater. And for age dating, B8 had the youngest groundwater with an age range of 27 to 31 years. CS1 had the next oldest groundwater at 35 to 42 years. And being a bedrock well, BR1 had the oldest 1,100 to 2,300 years. CS1 and B8 are more influenced by infiltration of surface water than the waters of the deeper BR1 well, which I got to before. And that's where that recharge comes in. So recharge at CS1 was higher at B8, or B8 was higher than at CS1, which can contribute to the shorter age groundwater. So where we're at, the report is out of the peer review process. So we had 2 peer reviews, an in-house and an out-of-house. That is done. We are now we have to address those comments, consolidate them, and send them back to the reviewers. And then it goes to editorial after the supervisor approves it. And then it has to go through approval by the Bureau or by the USGS. And then our estimated release is early next year. And we would like to thank the Little Calumet River Basin Development Commission for allowing us to come out and sample this well and do these tests.
Thank you, sir. Do you have any questions for this young man on the
I do.
well?
I do.
Go ahead.
Couple of questions. One, is it safe to drink?
He's not gonna tell you that.
He's not going to say that.
He does test.
In your opinion?
I can't give you my opinion. All I can give you is the data, and then you guys make the determination on if it's safe to drink.
Because there was recently, the Department of Natural Resources in Gary had 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, had a meeting along with another group about the well, and they're promoting it, that it was a artesian well and that safe to drink, and the place is fully packed. A lot of people got it. That's the reason why I asked you. Are you familiar with that meeting that they had?
I'm not familiar. Dave, are you familiar with that?
At the Gary, it was at the Gary Natural Center over on in Miller. They had that meeting. That's okay, because
I mean, I know people have drank this for years, generations.
I drink it. I'm a drinker. I get the water. I have no problem with it whatsoever. And I know a lot of people else that don't get the water. And as a matter of fact, the former mayor was out there with his mother getting water because they've been getting it. So just to give you an example. But you have a lot of information right here. And I tell you what, and I need to hear more, and I'd like to set you up with a organization so they can hear what you have to say. This is too important.
Absolutely, and we are more than happy to talk afterwards, or you want to reach out to me, that's fine too, and, you know.
The only problem I have is that arsenic that's in it. That threw me off. But all the other, from what we understand, the testing that we've been getting has been magnesium, zinc, and a few other things in it, and people love it. So,
I mean,
Thank you. Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
A great presentation, by the way. Very informative. When you look at this particular CS1 well and compare it to another study, whether in the Midwest or similar region, is there any type of projection, past, present, that says based on these values that this will extrapolate or has extrapolated over the years and the arsenic level or the manganese level has actually gone up? And is it something therefore that we need to
that's
be
a
concerned
really great
about?
question. I do not know of a study like that, and we would have to come back a few years later for this one and test again to see if there was like an extrapolation or if it grew over time or not. But yeah, that's a really good question. I'd like to kind of.
Yeah, if you got something in the library or something in the, in archives that can kind of give some better forecast, so to speak, as to where this could go X number of years, since you kind of are saying that the CS1 has been 36 to 42 years, I think it said, but that would give us a little bit more. I mean, I remember going here when I was a child, getting bottles of water. And so, that was, not less than 40 years ago, a little over 40 years ago still, and family members. So, it is of concern, but we would certainly want to know, if you have something comparatively speaking.
Yeah, and I will definitely like to do like a dive research wise, and if I find anything, I can definitely send it to you. Yeah.
I will say, like, some of those, the other wells that Harvey sampled, B8 in particular, those were all, we've got the wells that Harvey's up there monitoring this week, checking water levels. Those were all put in back in the 90s for a regional study to kind of get an idea. That was all funded through IDEM to get a regional study of the water quality across Lake and Porter counties. So a lot of those wells still exist. And when they were installed, there was water quality samples taken from those wells, including B8. I think arsenic was included in that. I'd have to go back and look, but Harvey and I can share that publication back from the 90s on that data. And, we can make sure in the report that we include a comparison as to what we got this time with that pre-existing data as well.
This atypical of a well you would see on a residence for drinking water or potable water?
I haven't seen data on a lot of residential potable wells. It's not something that we really go into with water quality a lot. I can't think of one, Dave, can you?
No, and a lot of the analytes that we sampled for these for this study just aren't typically sampled for domestic wells unless they're not required for ownership transfer or for the state. I think Dan said earlier that you guys were sampling the flowing well for E. coli and some other things like that. That's more typical of what is sampled for domestic wells. Like the age dates that we did and these other PFAS and analytes like that those just aren't typically sampled in domestic wells.
And you're sampling these wells, basically testing the groundwater.
Yeah,
we are testing the groundwater. Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So the elements that you test for and found present, how easy is it to do that on a quarterly basis or monthly basis? How long does it take for results? Is it costly, not costly?
That is a outstanding question. Dave, I'm gonna put that on you because I'm familiar with prices for groundwater sampling or groundwater monitoring, but sampling is out of my realm.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look for the cost of all the analytes that we sampled here. I mean, we did a lot of samples for this. I'll say the PFAS sample alone was $550, I think, just to get that processed for one sample.
Can they
The
tailor that to analytes that they're more concerned with than others?
Well, I mean, and so let's say if you were interested in nutrients, nitrate, something like that, those samples are relatively cheaper. They're like $20 to process. So it really depends on what analytes you're interested in looking at. If arsenic is a concern, you could tailor it toward just doing a suite of analysis that included like metals and arsenic and that sort of thing. And that cost would be different than what we spent on the group of chemicals that we sampled for this well. The real reason that we sampled for so many different things in this study was to, one, see what was in the water because it was being used for other purposes. But two, we also wanted to sample these other wells for the same thing and see if we got a hit for one thing in this well and it was super deep well, we can look and see, well, if the Chase Street Spring well also got that or didn't get that. We're trying to compare the results of all these different analytes to see what the source water for the spring is in comparison to these other wells that are completed in different areas and different depths. So that's really, the big reason why we did such a wide range of things within this study. And if something were of interest to keep doing, quarterly samples isn't that bad because we already go up there and do quarterly sample or quarterly water levels in the area. It would just be a matter of bringing a pump along. We would have to install, put the pump down, pull the sample, process it, and send it off to the lab and get those results. And I will say during this study, waiting to get results, it was during COVID. We were having a lot of issues with the lab and turnaround times just because of the staffing at the lab. So that's kind of one of the reasons why this has taken so long to get published. The lag time in getting results was a lot due to staffing and COVID related things. So a lot of these analytes we can get turned around a lot quicker than what we did for this study.
What would you say it would be now?
It really depends on the analyte itself. If you're talking something like arsenic or something like that, I'd say we could get the results back in a month. But I'd have to really look into it a little bit. I'd have to look and see what the wait time is right now for our labs.
A question. Maybe you mentioned it before in your report. For the data that was collected, what was the depths or what were the depths of these 3 wells that were taken? The samples.
So BR1, the deep one was 137.
That's where the water sample was
37.
taken.
I think that's in bedrock. That's in like a slurry Devonian shell or limestone.
How about CS?
CS1 is 37, I believe.
So that's where it was taken at the bottom of the well.
That's the bottom. We put a electric tape down to get the depth, and it won't go any further than that.
And you take a sample from that.
And
you take the sample from the bottom of the well that's not screened.
We take samples from
for CS1 specifically.
For CS1.
Yes.
We did it like all the other ones. What we'll do is we'll put it all the way down to the bottom, lift it up about a foot, so it's like in that screened area, and then that's where we pump from. If we would have done CS, we did the CS1 the same way.
Bottom of the well.
Even though it's not screened, we still pumped it out the same way.
I have a question. I'm one of the remote participants today. I put a question in the chat, but I don't know if anyone's seen it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold on a second.
Okay.
So does anybody else on the board have any other questions for this young man?
Question about sampling, put a chill down my spine because I'm.
Is there a chat room question thing, Jody? Because I haven't opened it up for a discussion with the public for this presentation. So it maybe if you read it.
Thank you.
It says, are the results for the IDEM water testing online and available for the public? They are on the IDEM website. And then the second question was, how expensive would it be to test for more chemicals more often, which we just discussed. We were going to do that.
So can I ask where on the IDM
back and
website?
forth, ma'am. So IDEM for your first question as it relates to where that information is. And yes, we are testing. We test, what is it, Dan, monthly? And then the USGS, who's currently making this presentation, is just testing groundwater.
So we test coliform every month.
Every month. So
Submit a report to IDEM. And then
Okay, is there a URL or something? How can I find that IDM report?
yes, there is on IDEM's website. It's under groundwater. We have I guess a little place for us, and it has historical data.
Okay, you can't share that in the chat or anything like that because
If you know me technology wise, probably going to take a while. So
You can find the URL if you want to contact the office tomorrow.
yeah, call our office and Jody will do it.
Thanks. Okay, thank you.
any other questions for this young man? Yes, sir.
Does the USGS have a website that we could go to and look at all the wells that have been tested in our area and the
Absolutely.
results? For all of Indiana or for all of
Yeah,
Lake County?
we have for all Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, actually all over the country.
Thank you.
I'll get that to you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.